So as I was getting ready for this ice storm to come in, that's supposed to hit western Tennessee beginning Saturday, I decided to do an op check of the generator and realized that the pull rope was on its last leg. So since I'm going to be replacing my pull rope, I figured I'd bring you guys along for the ride. Your generator might be slightly different configuration, but the premise is the same. So if you need to replace your pull rope, if you're in a similar situation, just watch this video. Hopefully it would help, and let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions on doing it a little bit differently, or if you do it differently. So stick with me and we'll get to it here in a second.
I'll break these loose. And then cheat a little bit. Alright, let's see what we got here. 1, 2, 3. Alright. So the easiest way I found is unwinding it if you can all the way, holding it, feeding in the new line, and then when you let it go, it's going to retract the line back in there. So basically, I'm going to try to make it where I can feed the whole line out, even though it's messed up. I'm going to try to get it out, wedge this in place so it's held, replace it with the new line, and I'll show you that here in a second. And then after I get that new line attached and started, then I'm going to go ahead and slowly let this thing back out so that way it can retract it correctly all the way. So we'll see how that goes, and yeah, we'll figure this one out together. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, probably over 10 or 15 years to be honest with you, so I'm just kind of going off memory. So stick with it, and we'll be back here in a second. If you can see there, by hand I just unwound it till it gets all the way to the very end, right? And then it's just held in there. It's somebody, you know, when you manufactured it, they just tied a double knot, like a square knot or something like that, just to wedge it in place. And then when it pulls it out, that tension holds it right there. So now that it's all unwound, and you can see where it's barely dangling on there. So this is old line. So I'm gonna get this old line off of there, but I'm putting pressure on it with my finger so it stays wound up. There's a spring inside that's going to try to wind it back. So I don't want it to do that quite yet. I want it to hold in place. So I just got any piece of metal or a screwdriver or anything like that. You can just kind of wedge it in place right there. So right now it's wedged into place. You can see that just a piece of, I don't even know what the heck that thing is. But basically it's just holding it in place while I can operate. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and work out this line, right? You see that line right here? Just a double knot, pretty basic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and cut that. And I'll pull it out. Old line, don't need that anymore. So I just ordered a new line. Basically it's a new pull handle. I could have reused this old pull handle, and I might, but we'll see. Hold on. Let's take a look. This one versus this one. Oh no, this new one feels a little bit more cheap. So I'm gonna go ahead and not have, I'm gonna save this obviously just in case I use it in the future or if this handle breaks. But I'm just gonna go ahead and reuse this handle actually. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut off that side so I can get that handle off. And we're gonna come back to that here in a second. But mainly, I went ahead and ordered a kit that comes with the pull line, right? Just a rope. This one actually comes with 2, so I have a spare. I'll put that back in the bag, right? So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feed it back through that hole, which is going to be fun. All right. Actually, what I'll do in this situation, I'm going to actually push it through. It's going to be easier in this regard. And then I'm going to grab my needle nose pliers and then go ahead and grab it. Give myself some room. But basically, just going to take that, do a basic double. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. And that might even be a little too thick, right? So it might just even be better to be a single just to get it in there, because it's going to wedge in there pretty good. So basically, single knot, right? And then when you pull it, it's going to wedge itself into that little nook. And the harder it pulls, the more it wedges itself in there, right? So the next thing I'm going to do is just put it through that other side right here, basically where the other one came out. You can see that hole. All right, so now I have where brand new rope wedged through that hole right there, right? So then all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and feed it through this handle. I'm going to trim off this little, where they burned it together. It's kind of just getting hung up just a hair because the diameter on this existing handle is a little smaller than the new one, just by a hair. And then this, when they burnt this replacement one, it just makes it where it's a little bit extra girthy. No pun intended. Come on, there we go. See? So sometimes you just got to be a little patient, right? Don't overthink it. And again, same thing. Now what you can do on this one, if you want to get fancy, just do a simple pull through type knot. It's not really a knot, but it's still, the more you yank on it, it's just going to make it tight, but you can still pull on the shorter end and undo it real fast, right? So basically all that's going to do is that's going to sit in that little hole again, just like that, right? And there you go. So you have pull string. Now, if I'm looking at the existing one and the one I just installed, the one I just installed is going to be super long, but we can adjust that, right? So again, remember, now I have a fresh installed line running through all the way up and then through that line. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this back in place, and just keeping a little bit of tension, I'm going to slowly let it wind itself in. All right, I'm going to let it do its thing, and then it's going to find its natural stopping point. Right there, I actually didn't even need to adjust it. All right, so theoretically, once this is held in place, it should be able to just freely spin. So when I pull on it, all right, so when this goes back in place, all this is doing is when you're cranking on this, you're actually just spinning that right there, and that's what's actually going to start this motor. So if you have a unit that actually has an automatic start, which doesn't have this, it just has a little motor, an electric motor that replicates this spinning action right here. So they make kits where you can actually replace this hand pull version with an electric start. So if you want to go that route where you don't want to have to keep yanking on it and stuff, you could actually do that. And then in a bind, some people actually make a little modifier or a little adapter that they can actually hook up their drill to and start it up like that too. But in this case, we're just going to go ahead and reinstall it. All right, so easy peasy. So again, nothing too crazy. Just start it by hand. I like to get it started by hand, honestly, just because I found that when you use power tools on some of this stuff, you tend to cross, at least I do, tend to cross thread things a lot easier than if you just use your hands. So, a little bit of patience, it's not that hard. And you put it on there, get it started, right? And then after you're started, if you want to use your tool to pop it back in place, alright. Maybe even by hand. Again, this is all just kind of extra. You don't need to use 3 different tools. You can just use the one if you really want to, but sometimes I just like to double check it with a rat tool. I can see a couple of these. Actually needed a few extra cranks, and there it is, right? So nice new pull.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you found that useful, feel free to give me a like, throw a comment down below if you have any suggestions on what we should be doing next, and if you feel up to it, feel free to subscribe. Until next time, be safe out there, and I'll catch you next time.